So, hey, this is video 2 of the same day, and this is the one that I thought would be useful to talk about. A situation that happened to me quite a long time ago. That's 14 years. Is that right? Yeah, 14 years. I'm 27 now, but I was raped when I was 13 years old, and it was an experience that when I was 13 years old I most definitely didn't understand, and if I'm honest, at 27 I don't know if I 100% understand it now. But as I said in my previous video, I felt that this was a topic that there's not a huge amount out there. I don't think people talk very honestly about it because it's incredibly raw, and one of the joys of having a personality like I do is I try to smile and laugh, maybe a little Chandler-esque, through things that are difficult, and so therefore I'm now in a place where I'm able to talk about it, and as I said, most importantly for me is to be able to be there, so that if this has happened to anyone else, then I would absolutely love for them to come and say hey, and realise that they're absolutely not on their own, and that sadly it does happen, and to many more people than maybe you realise, or more importantly I think than we all appreciate. But for me it was when I was at school. I was experimenting because obviously I had feelings towards guys when I was at school. Had a friend to stay. We sort of did things that maybe experimental boys who go to private schools do, with no access to young girls, and one thing led to another. I wanted things to stop because I was scared and I was very young, but the other guy decided that he would take it further, and absolutely through no choice of my own. Now obviously I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't really feel that that's probably something I can put up on YouTube, but also there's not a great value in it. But for me it was a horrendously lonely and scary time, because not only did this thing happen to me, but it was incredibly difficult to talk of. I think like anyone who suffers rape or anything of that nature, it's very hard to admit that has happened to you, because you will feel that you are weak and that you allowed it to happen and it was your fault and all those kind of things. And then throw into the mix there obviously the fact that it was homosexual, that I had been experimenting with guys at 13. I most definitely wasn't ready to talk to people about it or tell anybody about it. I lived in a family where, if I'm honest, honest conversations weren't massively sort of on the top of the list, and so I was left very much on my own. I never ever went to the authorities, like I think a lot of people don't, because as I said, I could never imagine having that conversation, and was horrifically scared. Didn't know what to do with myself, was embarrassed, felt guilty, felt alone, and for me the only out at that time, and horrifically to say this at the age of 13, was drinking. I drank a huge amount to sort of make it go away and to have a reason, and acted out while at school. Was always in trouble because I wanted someone to realise, I wanted there to be a real pain. I wanted people to ask me what was wrong, and me be able to go, it's because I'm sad because of, you know, getting in trouble at school and so on and so forth, when that was never the issue. The sadness came from the fact that I was so horrifically scared and alone, and I didn't know what to do with it, because there was still the part of me that knew then what I know now, which is that, you know, I like boys as much as I like girls, and I wanted to talk to someone about that, but that wasn't a conversation I could have either. And so I went through and never spoke to anybody about it. And I was very fortunate that in later schooling I managed to have a friend who I could at least talk to about sort of having feelings towards guys and that kind of stuff. But it was only when I left school, I then went travelling, and even though travelling was phenomenal and I got to see so many amazing places, and I'm definitely going to talk about that in later videos, one of the main reasons was because I was running away, because I couldn't lie any longer. I got so used to living in a world of fantasy, because I was too scared to face the reality, which was that I was desperately unhappy, and to be very honest, the actual experience of rape, however graphic and horrendous, the scars heal relatively quickly, but the mental stuff just never goes away. And as I say, I still stand here today, and if I'm honest, they're still relatively as raw. There are certain times where it creeps up on me, and I realise that every time I allow it to make me unhappy now, or to affect me now, I'm still letting that person win. I'm still letting them hurt me again and again and again. And so I've managed now to find the strength to move forward, I guess, and to accept that those things happened to me, that I maybe didn't deal with it in the best way, but as I said, it was for me. There was nobody to go to deal with it. I was so very lucky. I went to university after travelling for 2 years after school, and met the most phenomenal person who was my personal tutor, ironically, and she was there for me, and she got me talking, and for the first time in my life, which was 7 years after it happened, the words came out of my mouth that I had been raped, and it crucified me at the time. I broke down. I had no idea that I was in so much pain, and cried and cried, and didn't really get why I was crying, but suddenly that massive burden, that secret, that lie had been with me, and was suddenly out there, and without a doubt, being able to say it, being able to talk to somebody about it, and understand that, you know, that it wasn't my fault, and that there was nothing wrong in what I had done, and that it was the other person's choice, but more importantly, it was now my choice to deal with the rest of my life as I wanted, and not let it affect me. And so then I could start to put it back together, and I started telling people. I told my current girlfriend that had happened, and I started to tell some friends and things like that, and tried to start dealing with it. But it took, and still is, it takes battles every day. It's caused problems in my relationships that I've had, because I've struggled with sort of intimacy, and I've dealt with intimacy in weird ways. I've gone from sort of sleeping around to sort of make it go away, to not wanting anyone to be near me, and it's a very, very strange and surreal sort of existence that I've had, and it all stems from that time and that one experience, that one night, that one moment. And as I said at the start of this video, there's no way that I can explain it in 10 minutes. There's no way I can make it make sense in 10 minutes. But I just wanted to be someone who stands up and says, you know, I was raped, and I'm okay, and I wish desperately that it hadn't happened, but it's made me who I am, and I'm pretty proud of who I am nowadays, and that's good. And so if there's anyone out there who has had this, you know, you don't need to leave names, or most definitely not name names. You know, if you just want to talk to someone, then this would, you know, make what had happened to me certainly much more worthwhile, and I would love that. But you know, if you just want to have a chat and talk about anything, then that's cool too. But as I said, maybe, I'm sure in the future, maybe I'll come back to this and talk maybe more, and maybe if people ask me stuff, then maybe I could bring it up again. But I just wanted to sort of put this on there to show that there is maybe a little bit more to me than silly sort of hellos and goodbyes and that kind of stuff. But thank you for listening. Thank you for, I hope, not judging me massively, but if you have, that's cool too. You know, feel free to let me know any feedback. I hope you're all well. I've got to go because I now have 52 seconds before I run out of my 10-minute limit. But I'll be back on real soon, and I'll talk about something else tomorrow. But I really hope that you're all well, and I look forward to speaking to you later. Bye, everyone.